Aditi on after
Aditi cries. She's a crier.
NFL Sundays move fast, guys. One big play, suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. If you want to get into the middle of the action this NFL postseason, visit FanDuel.com so you can place your live bets. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. And with that, we welcome Aditi to the show. How you doing today, Aditi?
I am great, Jay. Congratulations, and everybody else. I'm so sorry. I apologize. Wednesday instead of Tuesday threw me off, and my morning was a little nutty.
No, it's all good. It gave me an opportunity. I was going to tell the story at the end of the show. It gave me an opportunity to sneak it in a little early. It's always great to see your smiling face. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Happy New Year, too.
Thank you.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I was at the grocery store. I was at the, I got in a really good workout with my 6-year-old daughter. So It was all really, really good.
What game do you have this week?
I have the Packers at the Vikings.
Sweet. Very good.
Speaking of
Isn't it a little bizarre? You know, it's so weird. It's still like even though everything got mixed up a few years ago, where Fox does indeed get AFC games and CBS does get NFC games, we don't have a lot of them. So I haven't seen the Vikings once in 4 years as a sideline reporter.
Oh, wow.
And even when I was at the NFL Network, I never had the Packers. And the Vikings, I think I've only seen once in 4 years. So,
speaking of which, Aditi, I'm curious. I don't know how well you know Brian Flores, but I've been talking about Brian Flores being the next head coach of the Browns for months. And then Brian Hoyer was on with us earlier, and he, without me even asking about it, he said Brian Flores should be their next coach. So, of course, I lost my mind and I was excited. I don't know how well you know him. Obviously, he was in New England. He was in Miami. But what do you think of Brian Flores, as a head coach?
Okay, so he is unequivocally somebody that I would stand on a table for. And I'll tell you why. Not only is he a brilliant defensive mind, this is one of the things I'll say that I really, really appreciate about Jim Schwartz. He is not making his guys think. All he is saying is, I want you to play fast. I will play to your strengths and you play fast. And that is what Brian Flores does as well. We see so many defenses. Look, we just saw Anthony Weaver's defense in Miami, where these guys are so slow. The Cincinnati defense, they're so slow because you can see they're confused. They don't know what are their keys. They don't know where their eyes are supposed to be. You can actually watch them thinking in real time. It's slowing them down. Their defenses are a mess. You can't say that about Brian Flores' defense. Every single player that I have ever spoken to that has played for him defensively loves him. Here's the biggest thing about Brian Flores, though. It didn't work in Miami. He rubbed some people the wrong way. He didn't have a great offensive coaching staff for the quarterback situation. He didn't have the greatest relationship with his quarterback. And he has owned all of that. He spent that 1 year with Mike Tomlin, and he told me last year how he learned from Mike Tomlin how you need to talk to every single person in the building, that you can't just own your piece of the team, but you have to have a relationship with everybody. Then he goes out to Minnesota, and he said he learned from Kevin O'Connell how you build a relationship with a quarterback and why that head coach quarterback relationship is so key, whether you are directly coaching him or not. This is a guy that has acknowledged where he went wrong and how he could do better.
Love it.
Again, a year ago, I advocated for him, and I was like, any team would be fortunate to have him. I would say that again. His defense is what has kept Minnesota, from not falling completely apart. I mean, this is a team that just had 3 passing yards in a game, okay? They've lost their quarterback for long stretches. The fact that Minnesota is on this win streak to end the game, the way that they fight, so much of that is about Flo's defense. And so, yes, huge fan. But as I say that, I am not advocating for the firing of Kevin Stefanski.
That was our next question.
My next question was going to be from the perspective of you in Pittsburgh. Is the Pittsburgh Steelers game versus the Browns, was that a bad loss by the Steelers or a good win by the Browns?
It was a good win by the Browns, and it was exposing the Steelers for who they are. Like, at no point have you watched the Steelers and thought, this is a world-beating team. Even their defense, the thing about the Steelers' defense for the last however many years is that they have a knack for coming up with a timely play in a timely moment. or a key play, a game-breaking play, a game-changing play in a key moment. It's not a defense that has been like the Browns defense 2 of the last 3 years, where you just say that is a dominant group in every way. And offensively, I don't know. Pat Freiermuth is a wonderful, reliable, dependable tight end, and they forget him for really, really long stretches. And in a game where you don't have DK Metcalf or Calvin Austin, I don't know how you forget him like that. So I will tell you, none of it was surprising to me at all. In fact, I had said to my producer, I think 2 weeks prior, you watch, the Ravens will beat the Packers and the Steelers will lose to the Browns. And he said, there's no way the Steelers are losing to the Browns. And I said, we can put, not that we're allowed to wager. I said, but I would bet that the Browns can beat the Steelers. And there you go. I mean, the Browns had a very, very, very not good offensive performance. I think there should have been maybe 4 interceptions in that game. But despite that defense was really, really good. And the Steelers are just not. How could you have watched the Rams the other night, even the way the Rams lost, and think, okay, the Steelers are on par with that team?
Definitely not.
Yeah, they're not.
No,
for sure.
Aditi,
when you look at the Broncos, you look at the Broncos, you look at the Patriots, and I know that we talk a lot about the Patriots' schedule, but the way that those teams are playing, is that who you think the Steelers are right now? So the only reason I'm saying this is it's not really a bad loss. It's just the Browns exposing the Steelers for what the Steelers are.
I said the other day that if the Steelers lose to the Ravens, and Mike Tomlin's a good coach, we all know this. He can get a job anywhere he wants pretty much. But I would actually fire him if they lost this game. I might fire Harbaugh if they lose the game. I think it may be sometimes even a good coach needs a change of scenery. Is that crazy?
That's what the Eagles decided with Andy Reid, and it sure worked out for Andy Reid, didn't it? And it worked out for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Twice. With Doug Peterson they won, and then, of course, with Sirianni. But... Yeah. So there is something to be said for that. You've got the 2 longest tenured head coaches for where they are, but I don't see the Steelers making that move. It's not the way that Art Rooney operates. Mike Tomlin will leave when Mike Tomlin wants to leave, when Mike Tomlin is ready to leave. And there is nothing that convinces me right now that Mike Tomlin is looking to leave and be done.
What about the situation in Baltimore? If the Ravens lose, are they changing coaches?
The thing that's so hard about the Ravens, Jay, is that they've been hurt all year.
Yeah.
And in some ways, couldn't you sit here and say they were 1-5, 1-5,
yeah,
and clawed their way back into things when the greatest player on the planet, Lamar Jackson, has really truly been a shell of himself all year. He's had, I think it's 5 lower body injuries going all the way back to the preseason. And I saw him against the Bengals. I was there in that -6-degree wind chill game where he said that he felt better than he had since he'd hurt the hamstring. And you did see some flashes of that. But even then, he's still not Lamar Jackson. And so the fact that team has kept fighting, has kept clawing, that you've seen improvement in the defense. Obviously, a lot of it was about getting healthy, but that's all a credit to the culture, the coaching staff. And these are sometimes the things that sort of fly under the radar to fans. Fans often sit and they look at records or stats. Even the Vikings. I'm sitting here and I'm studying the Vikings. And yeah, a year ago, you saw how good they were and you thought they were a legit contender. And Sam Darnold walks out the building, Daniel Jones walks out the building, and this year has been a massive struggle. But this is a team that could end the season on a 4 or 5 game win streak. This is a team that will have a winning divisional record. Since they've been eliminated from the playoffs, they've rattled off 3 straight wins. What a statement on that team. How many teams would roll over? And even the Packers, I was just reading in one of my clips this morning, a Packers player acknowledging that maybe part of why they didn't fight against the Ravens was complacency. Oh, we made the playoffs. We're done. The Vikings, instead, we're out of it. And they've just kept battling. So there's something to be said for that. A team that plays that way, a team that finds a way to win even when it doesn't have its superhero, Lamar Jackson, when its superhero doesn't have everything going for him. That's a hard one for me. I can't really see that one either. I really can't.
I think either organization would be crazy if they let either one of those guys go.
Yeah, and Jay, that's the point. Like, who out there do you really think is better?
Exactly.
Like, who out there are you getting? Who's walking through the door? Either.
But Aditi, you could argue that since Lamar Jackson has come into the league, that Harbaugh's teams have underachieved in the postseason more than any other team.
I mean, I'd have to sit here and like really actively think about that. Again, it's really, really hard to win in the National Football League, especially in the playoffs. And in that game, in that Bengals-Ravens game, we ran footage from just the last 2 years, I think, of moments where the play call was perfect, the player was in position, and something went wrong. Whether it's Isaiah Likely's toe stepping just on the white of the line, whether it's Mark Andrews being in position and the ball just falling off his fingers, whatever, there have been a lot of mishaps. And this is the National Football League. This is why it's hard. You have to come down with those plays. And it's not fair to say that it's only about calls. It's not fair to say that it's about being snake bit. But that Steelers-Ravens game, again, it's not about the referees. You need to be good enough to overcome anything. But the Ravens pummeled the Steelers in that game. And they lost. And they were on the bad end of several bad calls. And you should be good enough that even if there are 3 bad calls, you're still winning. But it's hard to say you didn't have your players in position to succeed when there's that many examples of just plays not being made.
Aditi, what would you say are maybe some things in your opinion that might be encouraging about Shadur Sanders or things that give you pause about Shadur Sanders in terms of his play over the last,
He's gotten better. Games? He's improved. He's gotten better. He's gotten better. And I think that that's important. From the very beginning, we've said this is a young player who needs to grow and needs to develop. And we say this about every rookie quarterback. This is not new to Shadur Sanders. This is a conversation I was just having with a coach this week about J.J. McCarthy, who, for all intents and purposes, is having his rookie season right now. And yes, he ran a pro-style offense at Michigan, so he had more experience under center and huddling, and even with play action than perhaps most quarterbacks that come out from the college game. But it still is massively different to read NFL defenses, to read NFL coverages, to have that play clock, that time clock in your head, to be comfortable in the pocket, to know how to step up in the pocket. All of those things are a transition, require growth from young rookie quarterbacks. We've seen Shadur get better. Another thing I really like is his demeanor. You know, the broadcast kept showing after that second interception, Shadur sitting on the bench looking really down. And this goes back to that first preseason game that I did with him in Carolina, where he didn't really face any major defense. I think there was maybe only one blitz. It was as vanilla as could be. The Browns had set Shadur up to succeed in every way, and yet he was still hard on himself afterwards. He still recognized that there were some throws that he left on the table. There were some plays that he left out there. And I remember having a conversation with him off camera about taking the wins and learning from the things that he's upset about. And then we went to the third preseason game, and it was very, very ugly. And he was clearly really upset with himself. So I was watching that sideline, at least what the camera was showing us on Sunday, and he looked really down, and I wondered, is he going to be able to come in here and close out this game? Is he going to be able to run the operation? And while he couldn't run a 4-minute offense or 2-minute offense, whatever it was at the very end, I don't remember, I'm sorry, he didn't lose his poise. And I think that's a sign of growth too. He didn't completely fall apart. He didn't chuck it, is what I'm saying. He didn't roll over. He tried. And I also think that that's a sign of growth.
Aditi, great stuff as always. We appreciate it. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And we'll
Happy New Year. Thanks for having me. And again,
Thanks.
guys, I'm so sorry I was late. I was at the grocery store, not realizing.
No problem. Bye.
Have a great game.